The option of consensus being preached by the president and those around him clearly suggests that his insistence on the insertion of the use of consensus in Electoral Act Amendment 2022 was a deliberate political strategy. So if the APC tonight adopts most of its NWC members by consensus, would it then mean this will open the way for the party to also use the same scheme in adopting its candidate for the 2023 election?
No, that for the presidential primaries, for example, that is not likely to happen.
Okay.
That is not. That one is going to be far more competitive for anyone to think that the candidate of the party, the presidential candidate of the party will emerge by consensus. I do not see that happening. I do not see that happening. As I said before, people like Baba Konde emerged by consensus. People like Oyegun emerged by consensus. So it's not a new thing, you know. And what it does is that it ensures that you do not spend so much time on voting, because the voting could last more than 24 hours. So at least that will save them some time, and they can then begin to focus on other things. But it's for one to think that that principle can then be taken to mean that the governorship primaries, the presidential primaries of the party, or even the primaries for the National Assembly seats, you will see people emerge by consensus. That will be extremely tough. At that point, the party will not be able to stop people from contesting against one another. I don't see that happen. And I also believe that people should be left to contest against one another so that we can know who truly is more popular. If you get away with that in terms of the national chairmanship of the party, you may not be able to convince people to settle for the presidential candidate by consensus. I really don't see that happen.
All right. So would you now, looking at what has transpired today, talking about the consensus of the thing, does it now show that our democracy is growing? Or what does this mean? What implication does it have on what they call the nascent democracy that we practice in Nigeria?
No, it doesn't show that democracy is growing. The reason the party has opted for consensus is to ensure that they have a rancor-free and a convention that is not problematic in any way. You know, this does not suggest the growth of democracy at all. There should be a level playing field. Let people contest for those positions. But what we see increasingly is powerful people imposing their choices on the majority of party members and calling that consensus. Consensus, when there are people who have been seeking that position for so long. You can't tell me, for example, that Adamu outspent others looking for this national chairmanship. He is one of the last, or he was one of the last to enter the race. But today, because the president preferred him, he's now being imposed on others. So if you ask a lot of the governors, it's not as their own desires in the background and let the party be able to conduct a rancor-free convention. So it's a big sacrifice on the part of the aspirants to concede against their will, to concede just so that the party can move forward. You know, many of the party members are so excited that this convention has come, and they want to make sure that they get this convention out of the way so that the party they can focus on more pressing and far more important issues, including the presidential primaries of the party, which will define the future of the party. Because if it's not properly handled, then APC could be in big trouble. So I do not see this as the evidence of growth and development of democracy.
All right.
I'll be happy to see people allowed to contest, show their strengths, and show just how popular they are. You know, let the people who belongs to the people, let the generality of party members have a greater say in decision making, in choosing who leads them.
Well, I think it's because of the fear of litigation that will ensue afterward, you know, after the convention. Maybe that's the fear that they decide to go, you know, with consensus. But we'll get back to that. And we've got some questions as we get to that too on our YouTube channel.